that was a full-time paying job, and this became a full-time, barely break-even job because the amount of money that I have lost in repairing the damage caused by illegals. We have a specific breeding program. I have registered Brahman cattle, and they're very expensive, about $2,000 a piece. Come on, baby. We are down from approximately 500 down to now 250. The economic losses from diseases among cattle are economic damage to our fences, cattle eating plastic bags and dying. It's the same with every single rancher down here. It is a crime. Everything that's going on, my business is in shambles. I've had 85 and me on a set of crutches here, and the first person to me was my neighbor who stood on the top here and held them until the Border Patrol 2 hours later showed up and could load them out. I have a ranch and I can't even live on it because it's not safe for me to be here. ¿Está bien? Esto. Con mi mano. No hay problema for us to be labeled as racist. I have a horrendous, horrendous problem with that. Hey, baby, come here. It's fearful out here when I am here most of the time by myself. Is something going to happen? I really doubt it, because they're going to bow to the pressure one more time, just like they have since 1999, and they're going to pat us on the head and tell us, we feel your pain.
Ruth says she's just trying to hang on to the only way of life her family's ever known, and she'll stick it out just as long as she can.
Well, we have much more to come in our special report. Arizona's broken border will follow an elite team of Native American trackers through Arizona's desert.
Tracking's common sense.
I didn't even see those underneath there.
Yet these men actually use techniques they learned from their ancestors to track drug smugglers and illegal border crossers.
And they are two people who couldn't be further apart in their views on immigration enforcement. Phoenix Mayor Phil Gordon and Sheriff Joe Arpaio, both of them will be joining us live here in the studio during the next hour. We'll be coming right back.
I don't feel like people should be targeted the way they have been, but again, I think they should be in this country legally.
I'm pleased that Jan Brewer signed the bill, and I hope that you know, people don't get too worked up about it, but we had to do something.
All the illegals in America, more than half, come through Arizona.
Have we got the right plan?
Plan's perfect. You bring troops, state, county, and local law enforcement together.
And complete the dang fence.
It'll work this time. Senator, you're one of us.
I'm John McCain, and I approve this message.
Spent billions of dollars on border security, but has no way of knowing if that money is making the country safer. That's the conclusion from a 2009 government audit. The fence separating the United States from Mexico is the most visible symbol of the effort to protect our borders, but people are getting over, under, and through it. It's expected to cost $6.5 billion over the next 20 years just to maintain the parts of the fence that have already been built.
Well, it doesn't always take expensive high-tech equipment to track down smugglers crossing the Mexican border into Arizona.
A small group of Native Americans actually hunt smugglers the old-fashioned way. Tammy, you got a first-hand look at what these guys do. It's pretty impressive.
That's right, Catherine. We spent days in the desert side by side with these trackers who use really very primitive methods that contrast today's technology. But these methods, they're proven to work, and they always get results.
Good boy.
Bingo.
We're laying our life on the line every day, going out after these groups.
Yeah, to be honest, it's out of control.
And yet on the south side in Mexico, they're battling over these regions for control of them.
They are an elite group of law enforcement with only 12 members. Yet they patrol 2.8 million acres of desert in an area considered a gateway for smugglers coming up from Mexico and into the valley. These Native American trackers are the Shadow Wolves.
Jason, Thon Autumn Nation.
John from the Rosebud Sioux tribe.
Joe,
Tohono tribe.
Ed, Omaha from Nebraska.
Kevin Carlos, Tohono.
It took us about an hour drive on the Tohono Nation to get out here to the Shadow Wolves headquarters. We've loaded up the car with our gear. We've just got word that they've spotted 2 sets of tracks. It sounds promising. We're going to head on out. It's about a 2-hour drive.
Yeah, we located a group Temple Cop.
We pass ramshackle homes, dry riverbeds, and miles of empty land. We head to an area about 30 miles north of the border.
From right here, we got to hike it.
We're hiking about a mile up to catch up with the Shadow Wolves. They found 5 or 6 bundles or backpacks up there, so they think there might have been at least a half-dozen people.
The normally lone wolves work together today, tracking a potentially dangerous group of drug smugglers. Armed with only rifles, sidearms, and radios, this Homeland Security unit is skilled in tracking, using methods their ancestors used to hunt wild game, spotting clues most of us would walk right past.
I remember my grandfather, I'd go on hunting trips, so he'd explain, point out what tracks belong to a certain animal.
What you're looking for is disturbances to show that something crossed an area.
See how the vegetation is?
Yeah.
Look over here, how's the vegetation now?
What am I looking for?
Let's see, over here you see all of the plants,
right.
Vegetation straight up and down.
Right.
Look over here.
Oh, it's sideways.
It's sideways. How weird. Oh, yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, it's the common sense. Tracking is common sense.
I didn't even see those underneath there.
So typically it would be marijuana hidden underneath, inside these.
They find 6 other packs of marijuana scattered along the hill, but the smugglers are long gone.
3303.
The sun fades and the desert settles for the night, but the smugglers don't rest, and so neither do the Shadow Wolves.
Part of our job is to go out long range on our own, 2, 3 a.m. Your backup may be 2 hours away. There's a lot of police that wouldn't do that.
The Shadow Wolves are teaming up with police from the reservation today. That means there'll be extra trackers out there looking for signs.
Nearby, they stop a truck that appears to be used for human smuggling.
It was definitely something suspicious.
Inside the truck, extra cans of gas, jugs of water, 5 cell phones, and a wad of cash.
Both of the guys that were in this truck are going to jail tonight. Now, police say they had all of the tools of either a drug smuggler or human smugglers, including what could be instructions right here on the hood. This literally says, on the freeway, possibly a meeting point to pick up drugs or humans. Jonathan, you're headed for jail. You want to tell us what happened? You're hungover, huh? Why did you have 5 phones and a bunch of cash?
While much of what the Shadow Wolves do is deep in the desert, sometimes they track the drugs right into town.
We believe there might be some contraband at a residence right down the road here.
The house is less than a mile from the Shadow Wolves headquarters.
Well, how come the eyewitness said that you were driving? Positive odors of narcotics. Oh, good boy.
If that's not alerting, I don't know what is.
Good boy. Show me.
Oh. The vehicle's towed back to the Shadow Wolves' home base. The smugglers hide dope in specially constructed secret compartments, a trick the Shadow Wolves have seen many times before.
The dope right now that we're pulling out was hidden all throughout the bed of this Dodge truck. It's seized now, and we'll keep this dope from hitting the streets of the U.S.
But out here where the desert stretches into the horizon, and this select group of immigration enforcers spend days following invisible tracks, time sometimes works in their favor.
That's a large amount. You know, it gets to the streets. People paying blood for that. Knowing that we've taken some off, you know, it makes you feel good that you're stopping some of it.
The Shadow Wolves estimate that they stop a portion of the drugs being smuggled through the desert, but not enough to affect the wholesale price of marijuana. Scene and Catherine, back to you.
Fascinating. Tammy, thank you. Well, SB 1070 has made Russell Pierce one of the most well-known state senators in Arizona, and that law may be just the beginning of his plans.
People are going to look at this, and some of them are going to say, that idea just sounds mean.
Investigative reporter Morgan Lowe got his hands on hundreds of emails that may give a clue about his next move.